Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Paul here coming at you with a Crypto Coffee update where we talk about the news, events, and happenings in the exciting world of decentralized finance. And for the namesake of the series, Crypto Coffee Updates, join me for a simultaneous sip where we get the episode started off right with a fresh cup of coffee. Cheers. And I know you probably noticed last episode was the first episode in the over a year and a half that I've been doing this. Actually, no, going on 2 years now that I've been doing this, that I have missed a Crypto Coffee update video unannounced. So my apologies there. Things have gone a little haywire in my personal life. Nothing too bad. Really like 90% good developments, positive things happening. It's just been a little bit hectic. So, it's kind of how it goes every so often in the daily flows of our life. So thank you for bearing with me and keep an eye out as we're trying to get back on track with that regularly scheduled updates, because I know got to do my job to keep you guys in the loop since there's a lot of elusive stuff out there. We're over here at Cryptide.cc where you can get all of the information we talk about here, news, events, conferences, and even more. Check us out. And I did want to mention before we jump into the news today, there's an entity called Humble Bundle. It's a charity. They team up with businesses all around the world to offer their products at a steep discount, and proceeds go to charity. So that's freaking awesome. Not only that, they're running a blockchain and cryptocurrency special this time around for 12 days. Wanted to keep you guys in the loop with this. Basically, if you pay $1, you get 5 beautiful, beautiful pieces of information. $8, you get even more, and then if you pay 15 or more, you get everything we've seen. And this isn't just small time stuff. This is like 400, 500 page books, very technical documentation about things like Solidity. And also look at that, learn Python and build a blockchain and cryptocurrency. You can learn Python by doing it. So that's amazing stuff there. Really can take you from zero to hero in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, all with a donation to a charity. So just wanted to let you guys know about this fantastic offer running for 12 days. Not a sponsorship. I genuinely just keep an eye on the Humble Bundle for that reason. Really great stuff. All right, so the meat of the matter, the exciting news of the day that I know you guys are here for. New York State, they officially granted what's called a bit license to the entity, a bit stamp. So yet another large institutional size cryptocurrency entity able to operate in the state of New York. So that's really cool. The bit license is pretty prohibitive. We've talked about that previously a couple episodes ago. California is looking at potentially passing a similar type of bit license as well. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and it's cool to see that Bitstamp was able to navigate that regulatory water and end up on the island of economic activity in the burgeoning economy of New York State. And also, speaking of law, we got some interesting stuff happening. We're here with the lovely Caitlin Long. She is a very incestuous crypto lawyer, I guess I could call her, and she's breaking down here using the wonderful brain of hers, the Token Taxonomy Act. She has some great information here, guys. $600 tax exemption and 1031, the like-for-like exchange provisions. Apparently those are cool. She likes those. Those are nice. But it seems as though the act actually deviates from just the taxation element of tokens and ultimately kind of delves into what authority is able to interact with what tokens on what level. Ultimately, one of the weirdest things is the bumping up of state law versus federal law. Essentially, by declaring these token securities, which many of them are not, the SEC cannot actually enforce per se, but ultimately can send out letters to these projects. So huge amounts of overhead necessary for that. So ultimately, I like this one. Sorry, I think a few state attorney generals will scoff at being told by Congress that they retain fraud authority. That was never Congress's authority to bequeath to the states. So yeah, really interesting. It's another example of federalism. So kind of unfortunate that they've overreached with the Token Taxonomy Act, past taxation into kind of the terminological definitions as to what tokens may or may not be security. So really perhaps biting off a bit more than they can chew. I'll drop this below in the description as I do with everything, so you guys can check it out for yourself. But we're not going to go over all 11 tweets plus for the sake of brevity. But yeah, Caitlin always puts out great stuff, so absolutely worth checking out there. Now on to some more developments in the space. EOS, Augur, and Maker, they have been upgraded to Coinbase. I guess you could say upgraded. I saw updated and just came out upgraded, but nonetheless, they're there. Cool stuff, so that's always good for them. Any token that gets listed on Coinbase tendentially sees some nice price action, at least in the short term, and generally Coinbase has been very meticulous about listing digital assets that it knows has a level of clout to them. It isn't some kind of exit scam or fly-by-night project. They're actually trying to get done what they claim to get done. So we see that in Augur, EOS, and Maker for certain. Interestingly enough, I guess you could say, here over at the Block Crypto, fantastic news aggregation source, you could see Coinbase couldn't attract maker trading in 2018, but is now seeing high volume interest. This is something that kind of flew over a lot of people's radar, under a lot of people's radar rather. They tried to list maker back in December, but there wasn't really enough demand per se. They said, hey, we're going to list maker token. Nobody really took an interest, but now it seems as though institutional interest is picking up very, very quickly. And that's probably not too surprising for this reason. Here's all the Ethereum locked in DeFi, DeFi being decentralized finance, so various applications such as Uniswap, Compound. You see Augur right here. And take a look over on the right-hand side on the y-axis. You see how it goes from 70 all the way down to 10. Let's go ahead and click Maker and see what that does. All the way up to 2250 rather than just, let's take it away, 70. So huge volumes are locked up. Almost 2% of total Ethereum in existence right now is locked up in MakerDAO. So that probably can help to explain to some degree why interest is picking up, and ultimately perhaps why they included Maker in this listing. So really cool stuff. Congratulations to all those projects. And you can see here they're still struggling to kind of keep that peg up towards $1. That's something that's been in the news. They recently raised the percentage of fee for locking up a contract. It went from, it was originally 0.5%, I believe. I think it was perhaps lower than that, but yeah, 0.5%, 1%. Now it's all the way up to 7.5%. Last time I checked, they may be having another vote. So definitely interesting stuff to keep an eye on. Maker is a wonderful tool in decentralized finance. I find it so intriguing, and it really is an amazing experiment to see how a decentralized autonomous organization can come to consensus about how to peg a stable coin. And it's fully transparent because of that. So really neat. China wants to ban Bitcoin mining. We're all doomed. That's not the case. Okay, so China is allegedly planning to eliminate some Bitcoin mining in the country. And this is a bit of a sensationalist headline here. But I think the best person to turn to break this down is one Dovey Wan. She is I guess you could call her like crypto's China correspondent, essentially. And here she is breaking down some regulatory stuff. A new regulatory proposal was made by the National Development Reform Commission, state planning government body, on 4/8, which is a few days ago. And it may impact mining-related businesses. Some general guidelines about it. It lists out thousands of industrial processes and businesses into 3 categories: promoting, restricting, and eliminating. And it says the mining is listed as businesses that recommend to be eliminated. It is definitely something that I guess could spark some of that fear. But what you can see here, here it is. For more context, regulatory landscape is fuzzy, so hard to explain everything in a tweet length, but the new version of the proposal, every 3 to 5 years since 2000, it should be eliminated by the end of 2006 and are still on the 2011 and 2019 versions. So this is the kind of stuff from this tweet tens of years down the road. So as we see a lot in China, a lot of posturing about certain positions that they would like to take, but ultimately for the time being, it seems as though how this was included and in what document from what organization tendentially suggest, according at least to Dovey Wan, that this is the kind of proposal that ultimately may not have legs. It may be rather a slippery kind of thing that just kind of slides forward through time and never actually gets enforced. More of a paper tiger, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, definitely a cause for concern, and I can understand to a degree why the sensationalist headline, China wants to ban Bitcoin mining, would be definitely something that would get a lot of clicks and draw in a lot of eyes. But unfortunately, the nuances of the situation, or perhaps fortunately in this case, the nuances in the situation seem to reveal that not is all as it appears, and ultimately this will take a long time to get situated. Something else interesting that I wanted to point out that will come into play here momentarily: a lot of cheap hydropower apparently is on pre-sale in bulk before the rainy season in China. So a lot of hydropower in Sichuan, Fujian, and Yunnan, 3 biggest hydro suppliers in terms of province. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lot of interest in those 3 areas in particular, but they are the biggest hydro electric producers in China respectively, and it seems to be there are a lot of over-the-counter deals being done. So like I said, that'll come into play here momentarily. But switching it up on you, PewDiePie, he did not ditch YouTube. Actually, CryptoSlate puts out some fantastic articles, and Mitchell always does some great research. Unfortunately here, I think he maybe overstepped the sensationalist headline a little bit, maybe took it a bite too far. That happens from time to time, but PewDiePie's not actually ditching YouTube and Twitch. He is just switching over to stream exclusively on another platform for a short while. It's actually a sponsorship from DLive. It is in one of his latest videos. He mentioned that he is partnered with DLive and will be streaming there, and will also be donating between 10 and 50,000 tokens on the DLive platform to other streamers. So it is really neat, and the fact that PewDiePie has almost 94 million subscribers on YouTube who are very loyal and love him very much, the fact that he is explaining blockchain and how decentralized applications, in a very basic sense at least, work to his audience, I mean, that's a fantastic boon for the entirety of the space. So really amazing. I heard of DLive in passing, really didn't give it much of a thought because I'm not a streamer myself. I may get into that here soon, though. I'm not sure if my my old compy can handle it. My system may be able to handle streaming, but I know there's some specifications you need to have. But nonetheless, really interesting stuff, and congratulations to DLive for that huge partnership. Interesting article here, the difference between fintech and decentralized finance, or DeFi. I've been saying fintech mostly just because I just kind of conflated the two terms, and reasonably, you know, language is a very slippery substance, and over time we can kind of fall into some semantic familiarities that ultimately are less semantically accurate than we would prefer if we are to communicate with precision. So I was really happy with this article, really broke down a lot of information about the difference between fintech and DeFi. It's from Tobia de Angelis, and I'm just going to put it below in the description for you guys. Just wanted to show this little nuance here and how there's always room to learn and try to strive for a more articulate and pointed pattern of speech with your language. I'm personally working on my ums. I know I say that a lot. You guys are probably sick of it. Anyway, nah, you can't be sick of it. You're still here. I know. We're in this together. We're linked up. Crypto's a small world still, technically. So I had a great conversation with this guy, Digiconomist. He's one of the authorities on Bitcoin energy consumption worldwide. He has some, I call it skies falling down kind of predictions about energy consumption, and that's definitely something that could be said, because that is where the projection maybe comes in terms of projecting into the future. But one thing that can't really be, it could be massaged, but it can't be made up, is hard data. And this conversation was great. I have to say, this is one of the most data-driven conversations I've had in a while, and it was super encouraging to have. We just respectfully exchanged opinions, and ultimately, he put up some fantastic argumentation that changed my mind to a great degree. So I wanted to give a shout-out to Digiconomist. I'm looking for some rebuttals from the article I was leaning on, because it turns out the article I was leaning on that was a great breakdown was using some information that was outdated and ultimately did not reflect the reality of the situation. And here's what that is. You can see this image is kind of turned to the side. This is the spread of mining hashing power from a 2017 study. And you can see Sichuan is indicated in a teal kind of color. It's much larger compared to the other major regions, most of which are in China, some in Europe, and some over here in the North American continent. Smaller regions there. Perspective regions are kind of like striped lines. So most important thing is you can see Sichuan is the big dog here. This is the second study that they undertook. And you can see Sichuan is actually comparatively smaller to Xinjiang, Inner Mongolia, and even Georgia, the nation of Georgia, Sweden as well. So a lot has changed in terms of the topographical hashing power, the landscape of how these machines and where these machines are being applied. So that is a more updated study that came out just 1 month before the article that I was relying on was authored. So it's very interesting to see that they chose the older study that perhaps better fit that narrative. But yeah, Digital Economist was really cool to bring that up, and ultimately cleared up a lot of things about some of those projections. So yeah, definitely mind-blowing emojis there for sure, and just a great conversation. I really want to hear what Mr. Kumi or Reassure Finn, Robert Sherratt, has to say as a rebuttal to this, because this is how information works, guys. Just talking it out, trying to compare and contrast the data we have, and ultimately, in the face of new data, you change your mind, you change your perspective, because that's all you can really do. So really fantastic conversation and insightful stuff. So with that said, guys, that's all we have for the day. All fantastic news and stuff. Just tried to kind of breeze through, give you guys a light overview as to what was going on. As I said, it's been really hectic around here, so I tried to squeeze this in when I had a little bit of time. Check out the Humble Bundle if it's something that interests you. Self-direction is becoming more and more popular with education, and the fact that these resources are here now, and maybe you don't use them immediately, maybe they come to play a year or two down the road, but nonetheless, it's a fantastic thing, a good way to get some definitely not cheap, but inexpensive, very rich information. So thanks so much for watching, guys. My name is Paul. As usual, it is my pleasure to share this time with you. Let me know what you think of this stuff below in the comments, and of course the sources below in the description, as well as a link to the Cryptide Discord. It's getting pretty hopping in there, guys. Lots of conversation happening about particularly this price action we've been seeing. So if you want some insights onto that, hop on over to the Discord. But for now, my name is Paul. We are Cryptide, and remember, the tide is rising.